What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 310 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have a lot of CDL to catch up on. Haven't had a chance to talk about it in a while. And Stage 1 Major started. Whoa, where's the time gone? Also, special guest Danny Martin, CEO of Esposure, right here in our local DFW area, joined us earlier in the week. We recorded that for you to talk about some of the charitable stuff they have going on with esports and schools, and it's about the children. Think of the children. Also, some e-news to get to end the show. But before we get to that, let's tell you about the show sponsor, Alt Esports. You can check them out, altesports.com. Anuj, the weather is getting warmer, meaning that cool free hoodie they sent you to spite me will be obsolete here momentarily, at least here in Texas. So
that's what you think. I'll be wearing that hoodie in 110-degree weather, Tim. Don't you worry.
You know what, though? It looks so good, I wouldn't blame you, because that's what Alt is. You are willing to risk overheat exhaustion to look good. And with Alt, it is possible to look good, but also have heat stroke. What other brands can you do that? Like the medics would show up and be like, oh my God, like he's about to die, but damn, he looks so fresh in that apparel. And oh wow, look, it's Alt Esports. Who would have thought? So
they would let me perish before they cut that hoodie off.
So there is that. They would get the jaws of life to get the hoodie off and then say, no, what hoodie? Because that's what Alt does. It's worth it. It's worth the risk, but no risk with altesports.com. Go there, get yourself a hoodie while you still can wear it appropriately. Get yourself some summer apparel. They have some shorts for Sentinels and E-United. Check that out, as well as some just killer tees and tie-dye to match the summer and get those summer vibes going. altesports.com.
Hey, this is Ian Crim6 Porter, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 310, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, March 3rd, 2021. The time, 8:56 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter, at The Center Ring. Get up to date on show news and whatever else we have going on. As well, in the description there, two very important links in your life. Discord, be a part of the conversation, and Patreon. Support the show if you have the means and the desire to. Much appreciated. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, but alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
How have we gone like so many episodes without talking COD, and now the major is upon us, Tim? How does this happen?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell the listener. Time got away.
Super Week felt like a major to me. I don't know if it did the same thing to you, but it kind of felt major-esque.
The snowstorm just threw off it threw off my internal clock. Like it's almost like that week should just not exist, and then all of a sudden it's like you had the Super Week, which slammed 2 weeks into one. And then next thing I wake up,
major time.
Yeah, and then I wake up today and I'm like, oh man, like that's today. That starts today. Oh, well, go figure.
No, that's one prediction we'll get right.
Yeah, no, yeah, we won't screw up that one. You know what? It's just the first round though.
First round losers.
Yeah, like honestly, the major hasn't started yet, so don't worry about it. No one cares about first round losers. Let's see the best of the worst and who can make it through. Once winners start, which is all we really care about, then that's when the major really starts. But that's for another episode that, we'll probably be more on time for and talk some COD, because a lot of COD to get to. Yesterday, if you follow us on Twitter, you would have noticed we did an AMA with our good buddy Jay from Mogul. We'll have that on a future episode, so you can check it out on their Twitch and everything. You can see that on our Twitter. We've retweeted a few times. Saw some listeners in chat, so very much appreciated. Thanks for joining the chat. But like I said, I think the plan is we're just going to replay the whole thing, because that's how you double dip content.
Yeah.
We didn't just do an hour-long AMA for nothing.
And it was fun. It was a good time with Jay. Jay's always a good conversation, and appreciate him bringing us on, obviously.
Yeah, of course. No, it was just a good general esports, hour-long esports discussion. So we might either have that replace an episode or maybe a bonus episode, because there's a lot of esports going on. So maybe we can't afford to miss a whole episode for it. But we'll get it on the feed, is my point. So if that's what you want to do, have at it. So be it. All right. So let's get into some CDL discussion, though, Anuj, because like you said, it's all of a sudden major week. Like, it started today. I feel like we haven't talked about COD at all. Maybe apart from week 1, we've touched on it. But here we are. It's major stage 1. We're already a fifth of the way through.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's just gone by so fast, and it at least it's kind of, for the most part, I would say gone as expected. There's not very many surprises in the league right now. So if you're just tuning in and playing some catch up, the standings are kind of what we thought they would be at the moment. And my guess is, Tim, they stay this way most of the year. We know who the best teams are, and a lot of these teams have carried over from last year, and we're seeing them shine again this year.
A few disappointments sprinkled in, though. I think it's safe to say, especially from like our preseason kind of chat, right? Our preseason predictions, anyways. Florida 1-4 after defeating FaZe in week 1. A little shocking. Like, maybe it's just more of a hangover from last year that I think it's shocking, because the team isn't the same team as it was last year. So quite possibly.
And even if it was the same team, they overperformed in my eyes last year.
Yeah.
Like we probably weren't going to get those same results with that same squad, and now with the new squad, they're going to probably be fine. Like, chances are they move up into the top 8 and get a chance to play with the big boys at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, I think even Toronto Ultra is probably a little higher on going into the year, thinking that they won the last group stage, or whatever it was called last year for CDL. They won the last group stage heading into champs, and I thought they would, we would see them take that next jump. We really haven't seen that, unfortunately, from them. But again, so much time left. They did win today, so they are at least moving on to round 2 of losers here, and staying alive. So maybe there's still a little hope for them in this tournament, but they would be a little bit of a disappointment for me up until now.
One team that it's going to sound weird because they have a winning record, okay? But you've kind of talked me in that they are a disappointment. And I think it's only because I've been I was so high on them. That's New York. I feel like, even though, yeah, congratulations, you're third in Group A. You have a 3-2 record. You're on the winning side of the major bracket. So it's weird to say that they've somewhat been a lackluster start, but look at who they've won and lost to, right? They've lost to Dallas and LA Thieves, and then they've beaten Seattle, Minnesota, London, which none of those teams are even on the winning bracket side. In fact, all of them but Minnesota has a losing record. So I don't know, my confidence with New York is a little shook. And I know, you've made an excellent point that I typically ignore when we make our bets for the Esports Advisor. but it was the fact that like this is not the roster Clayster signed up for. Like he signed up and they've made 2 or 3 roster moves, not necessarily by choice, right? But regardless, it's like my brain is still telling me, this was the team Clayster chose to go to. In reality, it's not. So
nobody
despite the
saw the
winning record,
Zuma thing coming, right? Like the hand injury there causing him to retire. Obviously trading Attach and him heading over to Minnesota. Like, yeah, it's a younger squad. Now we've seen Clayster shine with the younger players, just like he did last year in Dallas. But we're also going back to an era of COD that Clayster's never won a championship in, and that's 4v4, right? Like, or at least his last 2 came in the 5v5 era. And he hasn't done it in 4v4, and it doesn't mean that he can't, but I think that combined with the younger roster and missing that second veteran presence like he had with Crims and Dallas, matters. And so although I think New York will also like be a middle of the pack team, I didn't have like the highest hopes for them. One of the teams that we talked about early on that we thought, hey, this could be a rebound year for them because of all the positive changes around them. That's the LA Thieves, right? Pretty much the same team as last year. It was the old Optic squad. Very little fan support, very little org support. Honestly, like just community support for that Optic team was at an all-time low. And then just the move over to 100 Thieves, I think gave them such a burst of confidence. They're sitting at 4-1 right now, and I only see them growing off of that. Like they're going to continue to be a good team. I know they got the floor wiped with them against Dallas here in their last matchup, but overall, like I think this team is going to stay pretty solid. And for me, you look at people that have won in the past, that have won recently, Kenny, TJ, Slasher, like all these guys have, been there and done that. And so, even Temp has been like a very successful pro player. So I don't see them dropping off. Maybe I'm a little surprised that they're sitting at 4-1 and second in the standings, but I did think they would be better, and they've definitely shown up.
Yeah, I was not a believer at the start. I truly felt like what they were saying last year was just a lot of excuses. And like you said, I think maybe they are riding that hype of LA Thieves. I want to see with them what happens, like if in later stages things kind of go off the rail a little bit. Because remember, I believe the groups switch up. If I'm not mistaken, I think the groups change.
Tim, nobody knows how the groups work.
I don't understand the point of them. Is that bad? Is that bad that we host an esports podcast and it's like, what was wrong with just one giant league? I loved it. It was very straightforward. It was very easy to understand. I guess is it because it's not like if this is easier to make sure the teams are playing against each other? I don't get it. I felt like it was a forced thing to add like another twist and another story to the league. I don't like it and I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I told you I understood the purpose of groups. I really don't. Like, it could have just been one large group. That's what it feels like anyway, based on how the qualifiers and all that play out into the major. Like, all the best teams are involved. So I guess that's all that matters at the end of the day. Maybe it's for the purposes of seeding, but I felt like all of that could have been done with one single group. So, who knows? Either way, we're still getting the best teams against each other. It's still kind of lined up the way we thought it would. I think the only real surprise for me, I know we mentioned like some minor surprises and disappointments, but it would have to be the Gorillas, even though they're sitting there with a losing record.
Right.
Just the fact that they've won a couple matches and have rebounded from such a dismal year, and just everything that's gone on with them, for them to come out and take a couple games. They got some veteran, leadership. Apathy, one of my favorite players in the league. It's just they have a little bit of veteran leadership, and it's working out kind of. Like well, I don't want to sit here and tell you that it's going to be amazing, but it is.
They have a 38% map win ratio. They are 8-13 for their map wins.
But they did get 2 wins. Like that's the important part. I know. Like they got 2 out of the 5.
They got the big wins. It's just their losses are really bad. I guess that's what that tells you, is that the losses are horrendous. But And it was
Like, and it's not like they're beating the best teams, right? They beat Toronto and they beat Paris, I think was the other team that they beat. So it's not like they're beating some amazing teams, but they're finding ways to be scrappy and win. And that was the most impressive part about it is that they're finding ways to win. Like I think everybody was just so low on them, and in Paris, kind of coming into the year, Seattle, another team, like who knows what the hell is going on with that roster and why we're sitting here with three previous All Stars. I mean, four too. I think Looney has also like been in the limelight for some time, and they can't find a way to make it work. And they got eliminated today out of the first round of the major. So like that's also a huge disappointment because it is a new team around Octane, right? Like they're building around him, and now you have Gunless, former Optic, Pristini. Kind of been bounced around, but won a major with the United, and went and joined his brother last year. Looney entering back into the scene. Like they have all the pieces and they can't find a way to make it work. You can only blame the org so much, right? Like at some point it's the players that are playing. I mean,
well, it's like last year the excuse was the org, right? Because they were also like, Vancouver Titans, the same
it
team.
wasn't an excuse. Like it was legitimate.
Well, yeah, okay,
year,
you're right. You're right. Yeah, the reason for the org or for the team being a mess was because the org was a mess. Like not just in Call of Duty, but in Overwatch, and every aspect of that organization was a mess behind the scenes, right?
Why did Octane stay with that team if it was that bad though? Well, do you think that was a contractual thing where they had a player option or a team option on him or something?
I mean, who else?
I don't get if it was that bad.
Maybe
and
no
you
one
were
else
the
was
star player. Why are you staying?
Maybe he just felt like there wasn't enough options out elsewhere. Like maybe he wasn't getting enough buzz out there.
I don't know how that'd be possible. Like he's so good, and he was so good on such a trash team last year that I felt like he would have had his pick somewhere. If it were me, my guess is that they gave him roster control, right? And they let him pick who he's playing with versus like him having to go find a team, just
Right.
giving him some more say. But either way, major disappointment. Like they're sitting at 1-4. They've been terrible. I mean, 6-14. They've lost their last three, including today. So, I mean, for me, it's just the surprises are the big surprises would be like Seattle. Seattle is just like to me a big surprise. Like I just never would have thought they would have fallen that far down. I know they're in a tough group, but still, I think they should be like 3-2 type situation, not a 1-4.
So then looking at the not surprises, the big dogs, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, these are still kind of the top three, right? Just like last year, these are going to be your consistent top three throughout the year. Dallas, I will say, was almost a surprise just because they kind of started the year off rocky, like they did last year, where it was like, but then they quickly rebound, and like you said, last week dismantled LA Thieves 3-0, a team that that was supposed to be like a marquee matchup, and then it was the deciding factor for the number one seed. Like the storylines are all there, and then Dallas just embarrassed them, and then that kicked off some of the biggest Twitter drama that we've seen in a long time. That was
for Hastro. For Hastro, I feel like every time he's been on social media, like when it came to NVCSGO with Decay, the situation that just happened with him and every member of 100 Thieves along with their whole fan base.
And then he brought up even a couple months ago, there was something with G2, and
it's just been like a tough go for him. I do think like it went way too far. To me, what started off as friendly banter then became like all these real personal shots, and then the JCap extended like I don't know if you read it or not, but his twit long that he did
it.
Was, look, I read that. To me, that makes JCap look a little bit like a joke for posting that out there, and it's like that's a big thing to drop if that's how it went down. Granted, that's only one side.
Give me the spark notes. What was it? I know it was about his time with Envy and everything.
Yeah, he was saying the way that he said it was that like Castro was really trying to screw him over with his roster spot because they didn't sign them. They didn't have the team signed before the 2017 season. they won the championship, but Hastro, according to him, Hastro knew that they were leaving, so he offered them contracts to have buyouts in place for when they did want to leave. And that they fined him for like not streaming in the middle of champs, like he was supposed to be streaming X number of hours a week, and he said he got fined for not doing that, during the champs run that they had, and like, it was just really nasty. And again, I think they went like just a little bit too far. I got to go back if you're interested more in this particular story, because Tim and I really won't dive into this much more than what we are right now. Hastro was on the Codcast with Nameless here just yesterday or day before. So maybe worth, like, if you want to get into that story a little bit more and hear his side of things, go check out that podcast to kind of get a little bit further information.
It's the definition of Twitter drama. Like, this is what I don't get. And I was talking to Jay about this yesterday before we started recording the AMA. I don't understand how we live in a world where we're all gamers. We are all gamers. We all play online, right? I assume if you're listening to this podcast, you have at least played a game online with other human beings. We all know what trolling and shit talking is. Like, I don't think any of us are such boomers that we don't recognize it. It's not like you're like my 75-year-old aunt who calls me and says, "Hey, I read the other day that Obama was going to get rid of all the churches in America. Did you see that, Timmy?" And I'm like, "No, aunt, no. That's not true. It's called a troll." But I don't understand when drama starts going on. And this isn't just for the COD community. Why is it that we all just forget what shit talking looks like, and it all just becomes so personal? And now you got like Thorin saying, "Oh, no, I'm trolling them. I'm not upset. It's the COD kids that are upset." And then you have the COD kids going, "No. We're not upset. We're trolling Thorin. He's the idiot who doesn't know it." And then it's like, okay, so both of you are calling each other idiots for not knowing the other one is trolling. Where I feel like then this just becomes both of you looking like idiots to everyone on the outside.
Yeah, like it just went too far, and Courage is the one that escalated the whole thing. Did you go through and like read or see a lot of what was going on by chance?
I didn't.
Courage chimed in because Hastro was taking shots at 100 Thieves. So Courage chimes in and starts just like shitting on his org in terms of views, the number of views that Envy gets on their YouTube page, and like then how much merch, we sell more merch in one drop than y'all have sold in like your whole franchise's career type thing. And then he hit him with this was the best one. This to me was like the opposite of slamming somebody. He compared Hastro's esports winnings to Courage's esports winnings. So mind you, Hastro played in a time where Call of Duty earnings were nothing. Right. I mean, like nothing. You were
$1,000 was a lot.
if you won a major, you were getting like a $5,000 tournament. It was like for the champs. You know, it wasn't like a lot of money. And so he posts Hastro's esports earnings, and then Courage takes a screenshot of his esports earnings and the breakdown, and it was all under Fortnite.
And like, that's garbage, anyways.
I'm like, you're talking about all these creator-tailored events that you're invited to go play in, that they're just throwing stupid money at, and you're counting that as your esports earnings. Like,
I'm gonna say this as the #1 esports podcast, Anuj, I think we hold some say in this community. Streamer tournaments are not esports tournaments. It's a celebrity softball game. That's what that is. I saw an article that Doc was upset because he was unable to partake in some Warzone event, like a $100,000 Warzone tournament. I'm like, well, why is Doc competing in a tournament anyways? And I look and it's like, oh, this is a streamer tournament. This is publicity. This is nothing. Like, not only are Warzone and BR tournaments a joke anyways, but then for streamers to be upset that they can't compete because I'm a competitor. No, if you were a competitor, you'd go pro. But you're not. You're a streamer competing. There's a difference.
It doesn't mean that we're saying that they're bad at these games,
No, of
I'm
course
sure
not.
Courage was good at Fortnite, it's just
But
for
he's not
them
a
to count
pro.
those events. Yeah, to count those events is like, go enter the World Cup and play against those guys, and then let's see how good you are.
Yeah.
Let's see if you do shit in those events, So it was just funny, like where it all headed. But again, that whole Twitter drama was just insane. That's why we love COD. That's why you have to follow these guys on Twitter, because it goes from 0 to 100 so fast. Like, they're all so trigger happy.
Also, and this is just in general, I don't understand. Gamers, we should have the thickest skin out there, and yet all of them are just so sensitive.
Speaking of sensitive and
Can I say one more thing on this?
yeah.
They did get swept by Empire. So Hastro had all the right to talk shit in the realm of the match.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. They're generating hype around his own league.
You can keep it playful within. Once you
Yeah.
started bringing in earnings and everything outside of that, that's where I think shit got too out of control.
No, like
Courage,
100%.
Courage needs to mind his own business. You're a content creator for 100 Thieves, right? Sure, you're buddies with them and you probably have some decision-making power. I don't give a shit. You're a content creator for them. Like, shut up and make a YouTube video. Don't get involved with an argument with owners talking about a match in Call of Duty. Like, get out of here. Like, you're not Courage.
You bought your Lambo because a bunch of 12-year-olds like your video. Just be
Like-
happy that it's working out. It's going really well. Be happy, enjoy it. Like, don't get involved in the big
You
boy
got
conversations.
3-0'd. You're gonna get shit talked to about that particular thing.
Yeah. Speaking of sensitive, Tim, did you hear the breaking news?
Maybe.
Thorin has blocked me from his Twitter account.
I did. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, disappointing. I'll just use one of my 6 ghost accounts to get the updates from him whenever I want them. But yeah, got the random ban, and it's funny because I was like, what did I say? I must have said something stupid, right? Went through some of my tweets. I was like, no, there's nothing there. I haven't even responded to a Thorin tweet in like a couple years. It said, so nothing new. So then I realized he listens to the show. Like that's the only logical explanation, because on the show we keep it real. Y'all know that. We keep it real. Like, if we have something to say, doesn't matter how popular you are, like, this show is for you guys. It's not for celebrity A or celebrity B, right? So we obviously said something, or I said something that ticked him off a little bit. But if you are listening, Thorin, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the pain that I caused. Come on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's air it out. Or not. I really don't care either way. But if you need an outlet, need a place to go, want to come vent out your frustrations, feel free to join us anytime.
I did look it up too, because normally, like, that's what everyone says, right? So I don't even talk to you. I never said anything to you. And then he'll always like respond, and like, you can look up. You really didn't. You never have tweeted at him once. Never replied to him once.
Yeah, nothing.
So
it's the show.
So yeah, why else? It's got to be it.
The worst thing we said about him last week was that he was a narcissist. I thought that was obvious. I didn't know that was a compliment for him.
Listen, and this is about all of them. Like you said, we keep it real. Like we've always said, like, they are amazing at what they do, but that doesn't absolve you from being a narcissist or an asshat sometimes on Twitter. Like, it's okay.
Isn't that the role that he plays?
Like,
am I mistaken in him like wanting to be the Skip Bayless type personality of esports, where 90% of people hate you, but you're popular, so it works and it's good for your pocketbook? Like, isn't that the persona that he's trying to play anyway? So for him to sit there, and I know he bans hundreds and thousands of people, so I really genuinely don't care. But I did laugh when I saw it, because in my head I was like, hey, he's listening to the show. That's pretty freaking cool. I'll take that.
All these guys, all these Twitter talkers, it's like they could talk the talk, but they cannot take it. Like, they're so sensitive. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them are sensitive.
But we see that with the COD pros too. Look at, like you said, what we just talked about.
Of course.
One simple tweet just trash talking a match that took place
that you got
escalated into like, I'm going to kill your family and bury them in your backyard.
You-
Like, I mean, that's how far
You
this went.
broke
You
ass
know?
bitch. Like, let me write a twit longer explaining why I tried. Things got escalated very quickly as Ron Burgundy.
You know, I know
that
we're
got out of
supposed to
hand.
be like unbiased on this show. I'll tell you right now, I want Dallas to whoop LA Thieves ass 3-0 every single time they play them.
And if
Every
it was
single
reversed,
time.
I would say the same thing though. Like if LA 3-0 Dallas, Nadeshot talked shit, and then Hastro said something, like out of line, I would say I'm gonna get some enjoyment seeing. I just like seeing that when the I don't know, the bad guy, I guess, if you will, right? I like seeing them lose in this sense. But this
I
case,
know this is going to take us off topic because I want to ask you this because now it just came to my mind when you're talking about this. You mentioned this the other day. What matters to you for an esports team, Tim? Championships or everything else? Like trophies or all the other stuff? Your merch sales, your content, like team,
so
like
doing this show and interacting with listeners and fans and just people at events or people involved with orgs, I've learned there are two different type of people in esports. Those who think it's all about the content and the merch and the, I guess, street cred, if you want to call it that, and then those who are there to win and who care more about not saying that the content orgs can't win, because obviously they can, but it's almost like winning is a side factor of building the hype around their merch. For me, I guess maybe I'm old school because we're boomers in esports. I would rather have my team win.
I didn't even know there was a second option until yesterday.
Like, I want to win.
I thought winning was the only thing. I mean, when did it become about anything else? Like, I guess from their side, maybe they're looking just from like a financial purpose. I'm sure like LA Thieves makes 100 Thieves makes a shit ton of money. Like I'm sure they're bringing in fat stacks, right? And that's great. That's like good. That means they're a healthy business. But as a fan of a team, I could care less about. I mean, I'm looking for trophies and trophies only, and where you stand amongst the greats when your time is done, right? Like, how did in Counter-Strike, looking at the eras? I don't think of the eras by the most popular teams. I think of the team. We call it the Fnatic era, the NIP era, the SK, Luminosity or whatever, era. I mean, now the Astralis era. It's because they win, not because Device makes a great YouTube video every few weeks. Like, it's about winning. And so I was just a little blown away that conversation even got brought up. Like, what's more important to you? But it's always been about trophies, dude. I wouldn't do this show if it was about content. It's not like we're like legit content creators. We like to talk about the events because we want to talk about who won, who killed it, who came up clutch, who came up big in really tough situations. Like that's what gets me excited about esports. Not, hey, they got it.
I know, but then you have people like Courage, who's the water boy for the team, talking smack for the players because they sold more T-shirts and get more clicks. Now,
well, he
again,
probably makes more than the whole team combined too.
This is very true. The LA Thieves are also a good team, right? So it is like perfect world is you're a good team and you can sell merch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's obviously where you want to be, and winning helps sell merch. So that obviously also helps, but you also can't tell me that like LA Thieves, and let me look at Optic. They came out with that, the Legacy hoodie or whatever they called it, the Founder hoodie, and it was a black hoodie with a black Optic logo on it that they sold 5 years ago. And people were like, oh my God, Hex, how did you design this piece of art, this Mona Lisa? And it's like, it's black on black. Am I confused here? Like, is it because I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt and you're wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle t-shirt that I just don't understand something about this? Like I go to Target and look at the $10 t-shirts and I'm like, that looks good.
That's the one.
That will last me like 10 years.
That's where this is from.
Yep. Yeah. Like this t-shirt will last me 10 years. So what t-shirts will I not feel bad about my kids throwing up on? It's not.
Most of what I own at this point,
Yeah, it's not a. I love alt. My alt.
except for my old tie-dye hoodie, Tim.
Well, I don't even pick up the kids when I wear alt. I wear alt, and my wife is like, "Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I'm on kid duty all day." And I'm like, "You're damn right. See this? You see this alt merch? You think I'm gonna carry a kid around? No, sir."
Do you think we should talk about the major at all? Should we do that?
We can dabble. We can
Maybe
dabble. Just let's talk about winners.
Well, we just got I think we should talk about the groups, like the winner group brackets, right? That's what you're talking about? The winners bracket for
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Let's talk Toronto, Florida. Yeah, no, I think for the winner bracket, you have Chicago, New York versus LA Thieves, LA Gladiators. So that, I mean, marketing team is pretty happy about that one. You got a battle for LA right out the gates for winners.
Well, in New York, Chicago is also like a nice little Clayster versus Scump type situation going on there.
Which I think, honestly, that's the more exciting one. The LA, like, sure, on paper is exciting, but Thieves should walk away with that one pretty easy.
And if they don't, then it becomes a whole little embarrassing mess, right? Like, there is a lot of pressure on the Thieves to win that matchup because you're so highly favored to win that you better come through in that one. You know, I do like the matchups though, in the sense Chicago, New York, winner playing Dallas in that next round. I would personally love to see Clayster get a chance to play Dallas again with a little bit more on the line and see how they all stack up. But you can't go wrong with the Chicago Dallas or a New York Dallas matchup. Obviously, on the other end, getting to see LA Thieves in Atlanta, that would be a really fun matchup.
My brackets are showing opposite.
So the website I'm looking at, the Call of Duty Gamepedia. So let me actually pull up.
I'm at COD Esports Gamepedia. Isn't this fun? How different websites have different things.
Two websites that I'm looking at are showing the same thing that I'm seeing on both.
All right, we'll go with you then.
I'm gonna just link this to you. Discord chat.
All right.
If you want to see what I'm looking at.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page here. But you're right.
At least if we're gonna be wrong, we're gonna be wrong together. So let's just go off of that one.
Okay. That sounds fair.
Scroll down there at the bottom, you'll see the bracket there. So, assuming this is right, you know, a Chicago, New York, winner taking on Dallas, LA Thieves, Gladiators, winner taking on Atlanta. Atlanta to me looks damn near unstoppable. Like, I just don't. They look good. I mean, Arcity's on that team.
Do they have a sub? Don't they have a sub? Didn't I see that? Or am I crazy? Did I see a different? Is this a different phase that I see on Twitter? I might be thinking of a different phase. Forget that I said that.
London has a sub coming on.
London. Okay. Same colors, different team.
Yeah. I think London has a sub. They've, unfortunately for London, they've had to do a lot of sub situations because of COVID and visa issues. So I think Zed is stepping in for them, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, so I expect to see a Dallas Atlanta matchup here in this finals, but I think if there were to be a surprise, it's coming from the Chicago New York side.
Yeah, I just haven't seen anything from other teams other than Dallas and Atlanta that make you think it. But again, it's just the trap.
Chicago has
It's the trap of last year, though, right? It's the same thing as last year, where it's like you're always going to predict Dallas and Atlanta, and then Chicago, if they can kind of shake some early round losses, like if they get them right, then I would say Chicago is going to lose. But if they look good going through those first early rounds, then I'm like, okay, like Chicago, just like last year to me, is a team that plays really well with the momentum. Once they lose that momentum, that's when you can like kind of take advantage of them. But until that, they do look like a dominant team. So like Atlanta though just looks
so far this year. Chicago's looked really good, right? They have an overall better record than Dallas. They really haven't. But they really haven't slipped up. They're behind them in the standings because of how the groups work. Atlanta
is also in Group B.
Huh?
I feel like Group B is like the NFC East of groups.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a 2 and 3.
If Florida was where they were at last year, this is a different, like on paper before
Right.
the year started, you would say Group B is the better group.
Right.
I think if you did it before the year started, right? Because probably a little high on Toronto, Florida coming off of the year that they had, and then Optic in Atlanta. On the Dallas side, looking just from last year's standings, London sucked, Seattle sucked, Minnesota sucked, but new roster. New York, don't know. LA Thieves sucked. Dallas good. Like that on paper, Group B was the better group going into it. I think even now that they did a good job of keeping them fairly evenly matched. Group A is looking a little bit stronger. But Chicago has looked good. Like, I mean, I wouldn't take anything away from them. Their only loss was against Atlanta. Everyone else, been fairly comfortable, playing them. Dallas has looked even a little shaky to me at times, though. They haven't looked like a juggernaut. Like, they've won 4 out of their 5 matches, but they had a couple shaky matches there against London in their first matchup. They were down 2-0 to New York before coming back on the reverse sweep. They ended up losing to Minnesota. So, I know they beat LA. They beat Seattle, they beat London. Like they haven't beat some amazing teams really outside of LA, and then potentially, whatever New York ends up being. But it hasn't been easy for them, I guess is what I'm saying. So if we're going off the easy factor, it's really just been Atlanta. Atlanta's the only one that's made people look like a joke. Everybody else, the top teams have gotten their wins, but they've had to fight for them. Like they haven't been given it all.
So we'll know more as the week progresses, because I think we have, obviously the major started today. You have losers round 2 tomorrow, I believe. So by the time people are listening to this, which would give us winner bracket round 1 on Friday. And then throughout the weekend, obviously, the event will continue. And now we are in normal bracket style. So we're kind of back to that traditional COD bracket style. So,
yeah, Thursday, if you're looking when to pick up, Thursday is going to be the day. That's the first round of winners.
Tomorrow.
That's your Chicago, New York, and LA Thieves.
Oh, tomorrow winners start.
No, Thursday. What is today? Tomorrow. Tuesday. No, today's Tuesday, dude.
No, it's not.
Today's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Oh, thank God. Nice.
You just lost a day.
I gained a day. I'm closer to the weekend.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I have no days. I don't
significantly happier right now
than
I was. Dude, my work changed their maternity leave policy right after I had Hudson.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, you get 3 free weeks off now, plus your 10 days of parental bonding time. We didn't have the 3 free weeks off. I just had the 10 days. So a little annoyed that that's happening right now. But
time to have kid number 2.
I'm sorry?
Time to have kid number 2.
Yeah, I already told Kelly. We're working on it now, like right after the show.
Well, it's Wednesday now, so you have
it's hump day.
Yeah, it's hump day. Perfect day for that. So Thursday, which is tomorrow, which by the time you're listening to this, you do have winners bracket round 1 starting up, and then Friday you'll have round 2. So losers will start, I guess it's just tomorrow and throughout, filling in the gaps. So all right, so there you have it. Some COD talk, COD drama, always pulling through. We will post Esports Advisors as well tonight after we record the show. We're going to record that, giving our picks for, I would say, winner bracket and then winner of the tournament. We'll probably go with that. So it's a little different when we don't have the teams up in front of us like we do normally for a full week. But we'll figure it out. All right, let's throw it over to our guest, Danny Martin, CEO of Esposure, and he'll kind of give us a perspective of being the first Black CEO in esports and kind of their charitable work that they're working on here, especially in the DFW area. So good conversation with Danny Martin, and enjoy. All right, let's welcome our next guest here on the Centering Esports podcast. We've always talked about supporting your local esports scene and grassroots programs, and even better, if you can all tie it in with education and charity. What better way to expand esports out into the world. So our next guest is doing just that. He's the co-founder and CEO of Esposure right here in the DFW in Texas. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Danny Martin. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you so much for allowing me to spend time with you guys and learn just as much as I want to be able to provide as well.
No, again, we've kind of familiar with your background a little bit, especially in our area, right? As we were mentioning before we started recording the interview, you were also the CEO of Geekleets, which is kind of now morphed into Esposure. Just as you said it in a very CEO way. Thanks to COVID, it allowed us to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it definitely did. It was really cool to be able to know that individuals have resilience, to see the resilience of so many people in this world that have experienced it. Now it's a tough situation to engage with, but it actually made us become that much stronger as a team and understood the dynamics that we have to still provide value to that of the space and to push every single day to help esports grow. Because a lot of us are very, very passionate about esports in the gaming industry. And we know that, the youth is very important to sustaining that growth. And so we really want to focus in on building platforms that are geared towards esports and education. So here we are today.
Now, I got to ask, because I'm always curious, what was your introduction into esports?
Wow. In college, University of Texas, San Antonio, around about 2011, 2010, I was a track athlete, but I loved playing games. And I recognized some of my teammates, their consoles were breaking, their Xbox were breaking. So I was the person that fixed them. And once I recognized that I fixed them, I knew I can make money off of fixing other individuals on campus. And, when you fix someone console, you can see what game they play. You can see how they look. You can see how good they were at the game. And I started utilizing that data to host tournaments on campus. And once I started hosting tournaments on campus, I started recognizing the value of multiple tournament organizers that are out there because it provides opportunities for the gamers. And when you provide opportunities for the gamers, you get to see their eyes light up because now they get to say, hey, I'm making capital by playing video games. And that's my start inside of this industry.
So back in 2010, what was the go-to game for you guys to host?
Wow, it was Madden, NBA 2K.
Yeah.
I'm a sports fan. So, sports games were it for us. And then, Street Fighter, a lot of the FG scene was pretty popular as well.
And now has that transitioned into other esports outside of actual sporting games? Has the interest kind of flourished into the whole other side of esports that's out there?
Yeah, I was introduced to Ashoni and just being able to see the COD scene and see the learning about Valorant and learning about League of Legends, that was something that was very intriguing. And then when you're seeing the Overwatches and so many other genres, I was forced to really think about and learn from all the genres because I really wanted to build a technology platform like Smash GG or Battlefy. So, I really was hyper focusing on attending events and traveling to tournaments and, literally traveling all across the United States on different genres of esports. So I was really forced to kind of see a lot of the different elements. And it just took me back home. I knew, sports was a favorite for mine, but most importantly, I knew that there was an incredible need to help that grow because I was always inspired by the growth of your League of Legends and your Dotas and your COD scenes. But I always looked at it as what can I do to help the sports scene? So therefore, those same individuals can have just as amount of opportunity as every other genre that's out there. So I look at the other genres as study tools, and I'm inspired and I love it. I love the engagement. I love how the different genres are, they engage with each other differently. COD scene you see is a huge grassroots scene. So it's really, really cool to be able to see. I mean, we've had tournaments here at our facility, $5,000-$10,000 prize purse tournaments just to see, everybody come out and are willing to travel. That is eye-opening when it comes down to it. So, the grassroots scene for us is everything. And, at this point, being able to, showcase that we've helped over 8 professional gamers, aspiring gamers turn pro, specifically in the NBA 2K League. That's something I really take a lot of insight from that of the other scenes that are out there in different genres to apply it to the sports scene.
So then I guess that kind of branches in and a perfect segue into your new venture with Esposure, where you are working directly with kids. And we say kids and youth. What age are we looking at? What age range?
Yeah, so we're looking at more high school and collegiate level. That is something that is that's a very huge need right now from the high school. There's so many programs right now that are looking to build out esports programs. And I mean, COVID, forced traditional sports to stop as much, right? So at this point, it's like, where do you go? And esports is that space. But a lot of individuals, a lot of instructors, a lot of admins, a lot of individuals who have the capabilities to build, they don't even know where to start when it comes down to esports. And so there's a need for entities to showcase and speak about how to build the esports programs and how to build a core scene, a grassroots, authentic scene in this space. And we see that as an awesome opportunity to impact our youth. Ultimately being able to see those gamers, those aspiring gamers turn pro, we actually recognize that not only competitive gamers can turn pro, there's this ecosystem can support casters, and it can support graphic designers and so many other career opportunities. And we really want to showcase those career opportunities by way of helping build out programs in high schools and colleges.
What is kind of like the biggest, I guess I want to say, not weakness, but what is in esports, where do you guys feel the biggest need is? Like what are you providing that you feel is the most helpful to people trying to get into esports? Is that from like a technology side or like the gaming side? And then where does it kind of go within that area?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer this pretty, I'm gonna try to be as thorough as I can. And I really think it's in information. One from a parent's perspective, and then also another from and like I stated, an instructor perspective. And the young individuals, they are playing, they're competing, they know everything about esports, they know everything about COD, they know everything about Overwatch, Valorant, and NBA 2K, and they're ready. But without the proper resources, they can't shine as much as they would like. Right? It's like holding a thoroughbred back when they can get on the track and just kill it. Right. So in this instance, it's really just giving information to the parents and also the instructors that are like, what is this? And helping them really, giving them the tools so they can provide as much value as we are to the students.
I mean, it's funny that you say that too, because it's like when I'm looking at, the write up for Esposure and everything, I just chuckle to myself because back when I was in high school, many, many, many moons ago, it's like we would get detention for bringing our Game Boys to school.
Yeah.
Like I remember we've talked about on the podcast where like we tried to start like a Super Smash Brothers club, like almost like an esports club at high school. And they were like laughed at us saying like, no, that's video games. That doesn't belong at school. And it's just fast forward to now. It's just incredible. And like you said, you almost have two barriers. You have to convince the school and then God forbid, you got to also convince parents.
Yes, exactly. It's definitely the biggest challenge. But with challenge comes opportunity, right? So, if that's an opportunity for us as an entity, is if we know that we have the knowledge and we're endemic to this space and we can speak on it authentically, it's really a good impact to that instructor or that parent, because now they can feel even more comfortable. So therefore, when their actual son or daughter come to them and saying, hey, I really want to participate in this tournament that I see on smash.gg, or that's a part of the school that they're just announced, that pushback is a little bit less when it comes down to it. So, our goal is to utilize our content to really teach all the core components to esports, which I love to speak on. It's esports production and esports management and esports technology and esports marketing and esports competition. Those are the 5 facets of esports. And one of the coolest things is that when you think about a, event coordinator, quote unquote, a tournament organizer, quote unquote, a TO, that is that event manager. That is that person that facilitates all of the roles. And when you bring that person together, they can really create a awesome event. They can create an awesome experience. And ultimately, it helps the actual industry grow when you bring this all together.
And now you guys are sitting there in a pretty massive arena, right? That you guys have that you have and that you're using. What is the plans? Are there more plans for it once COVID is finally out of the way and
Yeah.
you can kind of introduce it to more massive audiences, right?
Yeah.
You can give them that exposure and
Yeah.
allow people to come and see what you're doing. What is kind of the plan for Esposure once this COVID era kind of ends and moves on?
Yeah, so when you think of Esposure, we are a true technology company. I know, in esports you really don't see, you think of the team element, but our technology platform has provided us the opportunity to use this space as a content hub, right? Everything in all the rooms is not the traditional arena that you may see out there. This is I like to say it's an incubation facility. We have the arena, right? We have classrooms inside of here. It's very compartmentalized where we have studios, we have podcasting rooms, we have our offices in here. And so when you're thinking about trying to be a shoutcaster or a podcaster or anything, you have the ability to do that inside of this space by just knocking on our door, right? Like, hey, I want to participate. I want to add value to the space, because that's how esports should be. When you go to any event, you're sitting there looking like, how can I add value? Can I monitor a bracket? Can I be a greeter? Can I, whatever I can to add value? We really want to have that same type of environment here in our facility, to where you can come in and actually put yourself into action, and therefore you can sit back and say, wow, look at my portfolio. This is what I've done. And after, quote unquote, like when people are back to coming in a live space, we really want to have it to where it's accessible for individuals who may not have the resources to be able to have it inside of their home. We want them to come here and say, wow, okay, this is how this is set up. This is how a production is ran. This is how a podcast, here's the equipment, and I can actually go get this equipment or work to get that equipment to apply it inside of my home. We really want to just showcase to our area that there is opportunities in this space. And as you may know, we're in the southern sector of Dallas, where it is a large percentage of minorities. So this is a great opportunity to showcase that this is a possibility. This is an industry that they can start to hone in on their skills, all the way from graphic design to development. And this is the opportunity to be able to do it. They just have to see it. And once you see it, you then go and understand that you can be it too.
And I like that. So, because my background's in media and radio and things like that, and it's like growing up, you just see the hosts, right? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to work in radio. I want to be a host. Or same thing,
Yes.
like if TV, or if you want to work on a video game, and you're like, well, I have no artistic ability. Like, I can't draw. I'm not imaginative. I have no imagination. But what I love that you guys are doing is you're exposing, or
Yes.
exposing.
Exposing.
Did you like that? That there's more, like, if you peel back the layers, it's more than just being a player for esports. Like, not everyone can be a pro. Although,
Yes,
Danny,
exactly.
I was a semi-pro in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and
Okay.
2, if you didn't know that. Fun fact
didn't.
about me.
Fun
fact.
So
fact.
Tim is willing to be an instructor, is what he is saying.
Yes.
And donate his time.
But my point is that so many kids, like, they try to just go pro, and that's all they focus on. When, in, like you're saying, it's like, first off, the beauty of esports is that you could always, like, I'm 30 years old. I can still go pro. It's never
Exactly.
my pro football career, it's behind me, I think. Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
I still stand a chance, but esports is still out there. And so I like the fact that, like, you guys are kind of exposing more than just being a pro.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the same dynamic as, like, when you look at the market of gaming and you see that it's $300 billion industry versus that of the esports, and it being a fraction at 1 to 2% of that. The traction though of esports is so massive. It's like when you just see esports, you're like, oh, it's information. People need to see what esports is, and it's the same dynamic in regards to the actual career opportunities in esports. It's you see the professional gamer, you see them competing, you see them have fans, but ultimately, if you do not make it as a competitive gamer, you have to now sit back and say, okay, what do I do now? And at 9 times out of 10, like traditional sports, there are even more opportunities inside of this space, inside of this industry, than that of just being the professional gamer. Not to say the professional gamer is not a great, exciting, route to go for, right? It's also, that is still that percentage of happening where you're like, I'm gonna put it all on the line. And because you put it on the line, you've also learned so many skill sets, camaraderie, leadership, critical thinking skills, the things that you have to do to excel, to be the best as a professional gamer. Those same skill sets can be applicable to that of any other career opportunity within the industry. That's no different than, what we were always told when we were trying to go for the best athlete in traditional sports. It's literally the same thing. It's like, hey, the skill sets that you've got in traditional sports has helped you go land a job at Google or go land a job at some other, industry, and you can still be that just as good at what you do inside of that space. And so I look at it all the same when it comes down to, one, supporting those professional gamers. Because like I stated, we've seen professional gamers, but at the same time, I've also seen, the instance of, so many, there's only a small percentage of those individuals who come to us that make it pro. But at the same time, we are able to say, hey, here's other opportunities that here's your skill sets that can make you just as good in this space. And you can see revenue, out of it. And that's the coolest thing, when you can say, hey, I'm getting paid for something I'm doing inside of the space of esports.
No, you're absolutely right, because like being an esports athlete is just like trying to be a professional athlete, right? It's 0.1% that will ever be able to accomplish that goal. Even if you are really good, like you could be amazing, but it's still like that 0.1% make it. And it's nice to have somebody out there showing people the other opportunities, because you're right. There are also 100 times more opportunities within esports outside of being a professional athlete, 100 times more opportunities than being a professional athlete. And that is neat. Like it's a different take on esports, and it's something that we don't see enough of. So I do think you got something there, right? And now just the building process and all that is in front of you, and that's exciting, I'm sure. And we want to help any way that we can, and hopefully, bringing you on and allowing you to talk about it, does some of that. But one thing I do want to touch on is, we got a chance to read one of y'all's releases recently. It looks like you're helping a Texas juvenile detention center here in Roanoke, which is right in Tim and I's backyard. And I found that so fascinating to see, like a lot of times these are the forgotten ones, right? Whether it's a juvenile detention center or prison, they're the forgotten ones a lot of the times. And as a youth, it's really hard to get that second chance once you've made mistakes in your life, right? And so to be giving them a lending hand, and I want to just know a little bit more about what you're doing with them and how you're involved with them, because to me that was like, huge for wanting to bring you on after reading that, because I was like, damn, that is like, you just don't hear that stuff, and so I want to know, tell us a little bit about what you got going on with Big Fat and Ranch over here.
Yeah. So when you say forgotten, one is forgotten because they're not understood, right? And a lot of individuals are not understood. And when you think of gaming, a lot of individuals are competing, as a sense of solace, right? Like, I'm going to be a part of this community because this community, took me in and I feel accepted. And that community, I can now feel, okay to speak my mind amongst that gaming community. And when you think about it, it's like, if we're in this space and you're engaging with someone who's probably like in a mental state where they're like, I don't care anymore, or nobody understands me, or I've been forgotten, and really to be able to bring them into our community and at the same sense say, hey, I know how you feel, while at the same sense bringing in traditional football players and professionals within the space of esports and gaming, and to really say, hey, I've been in your shoes. And when you see that, when it comes together in that perspective, someone says, wow, I've seen somebody that's able to overcome it. And that's something that I feel as well. Like, for me growing up, I was not always understood, right? And it can be frustrating. I've literally been into alternative schools because I was not understood. Not that I was a bad person, it's just that I made bad decisions because of being misunderstood. And at that point right now, I feel the same way as the individuals that are at these facilities, and I know what they have to go through. But I also know my journey and how I'm able to speak to you guys right now in the sense of saying, hey, this is what we've done to impact our communities. This is what we've done to impact this industry from an esports. And I feel as if like everybody that I interact with, or anybody that Esposure or Esposure for All interacts with, we can have that same that same impact to allow them to go and do that exact same thing for other individuals. And that compounding effect helps the world be that much better of a place.
And let me ask you this then for a follow-up, because you did mention like where you guys are, and we'll let you go here after, this question, or if Nuge, if you have anything else. But I did want to ask you this because, you kind of, and I won't fact check you. I believe you that you kind of bill yourself as one of the first, or if not the first, Black CEO in esports. And as you mentioned, where you kind of are located at south of Dallas, minority groups are high. Don't know if you've noticed this, Danny, but I'm white. pretty white as it comes, in fact.
Yeah, understandable.
And it's the mustache, and it's whatever. I guess educate me on this one, because I'll plead ignorance to where I've kind of lived a very vanilla suburban life, and I just don't notice things as much as what might be going on. Do you feel, as a black man, that blacks, minority groups in general, are represented well in esports? Because I feel like as gamers, we never really include ourselves. Because even like, I'll tell you this, because I said this on the podcast when the Black Lives Matter things were really picking up earlier in the year. I was like, man, I just feel like as gamers, we're so separated from that because we just don't have that same problem in our world, in esports world, in gaming. But maybe I'm an idiot. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, when I look at gaming and esports in the communities, it is very inclusive, right? And it's inclusive even to the point to where the different genres have different individuals a part of them. I think the frustration for myself and a lot of other individuals is when it comes down to, really being able to say, here's my value and this is how much I should get paid for my value. And that turns out to be like more of, you have individuals being on the platform to be able to showcase their skills. In our instance, it's speaking engagements. It's, raising capital in esports when it comes down to, seeing the different CEOs and co-founders that have raised millions and millions of dollars. Even to this point, we've had to like literally make revenue every single day. I haven't ever announced a raise, right? So you find at this point, it's like, it's still that sense where I have to look at it as like, man, I still got to work really, really, really hard just to be able to showcase the value and ultimately still run a company without getting any support. So ultimately, it comes down to the part. I'm not going to say, yes, we need support, but I do see the instance on, yes, when it's free and it's fun, it's very inclusive. When it's time to get down to business, then the separation comes.
The same struggles take place there that they would at any other level. Then,
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest things. And so when you're trying to get down to business, you understand the obstacles that you have to face, which ultimately, I always try to look at it, in the most optimistic way, is that it forces you to work hard. It forces you to grind it out and get over those obstacles. And ultimately, when you look back on it, you're like, man, I got over those obstacles without as much support, right? So I know that I can accomplish anything. And to be quite honest to you, once COVID, hit and we had to pivot based off of it, seeing our growth afterwards is just the most inspiring thing for us, myself, our team. And ultimately now we just know, like, man, we're going to go out and we know that we're some of the, we know that we can add tremendous value to this space. And we see it in the services and the products that we offer here at Esposure.
And Danny, before we let you go, I do want to bring up one more thing. So I know y'all have a big announcement coming up. And this has to do with Conference USA, right?
Yes.
And so I want to know, give us a little bit about what you got going on with them, because it's always nice to see that blend between esports and traditional sports, right? That's a lot of the talk that you always see out there is how do we merge these worlds into one? And you guys are attempting to do that and have something big coming up. And so go ahead and let us know what you got going on there.
Yeah. So like I stated, high schools and colleges are looking to be able to develop and adopt that of esports and gaming. And it's really, really cool to see. And so when you see entities like Conference USA where they're having their championships at the Star and they're looking at it the same way way as announcing their esports initiatives, this gives us an opportunity to facilitate that way by production. So when we think of Esposure, we're talking about giving opportunities to our staff to build their portfolios. And what better way to do that than to do a production for that of Conference USA and be a partner for them as they announce their initiatives in esports by way of Rocket League and that of NBA 2K. So for our perspective, on March 13th, we have the ability to go out and show the world our services, but most importantly, have fun playing alongside of Conference USA when it comes down to esports and gaming, and ultimately being able to impact and inspire all the other conferences around to want to take part and do the same for the benefit of the students within this industry. And it's awesome to be able to see it come together.
Yeah, the collegiate world is like really getting crazy within esports, and so this is just another step in the right direction, and that's awesome.
Yes, sir, it is.
Well, we're excited for it. I'm a UNT alum myself, so that is Conference USA. So looking for, again, when I went there, we had a Smash Club, and it was like of 5 dudes. And I remember I walked in there, and I was like, I'm not even this big of a loser. I'm going to go to Fry Street. So I am glad that you are doing more to make it look cool to join a video game club in high school and college. Because when I was there, it was not cool. We did not get cool kid points back in my day. So things
it's quickly changing,
Times have changed. Times have changed, to say the least. Now it's cool to spend $10,000 on Pokemon cards and a video game setup. back when I had the chance. Not so much. Well, for our listeners, go check them out on Twitter at Esposure. If you are in the DFW area, DeSoto, so South Dallas. Obviously, are you guys doing anything right now? Have you slowly started opening the doors up?
Kind of just very, for private events, but we've been doing so many client virtual productions and utilizing our space for our content. So really just going to esposure.gg and seeing our services that we have from a education perspective and just learn about the industry and really being able to immerse yourself. And that's the best benefit that we can provide. We're getting to doing smaller events like the McFadden Ranch, coming in and being able to partake in a live experience. And we're going to be doing more private events. So utilize esposure.gg as a reference to see exactly what's transpiring up the weeks and months here at our company.
Well, when the doors open back up, Tim and I will have to come and take a visit of the place.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. We will love it.
Perfect. Well, Danny, hey, man, thank you again for coming on the show, telling us about what you guys have going on. Like I said, it's fascinating stuff all around, so we definitely appreciate it. Thanks again.
No problem. Take it easy.
All right, thanks again to Danny from Esposure for coming on the show. I thought that was actually very interesting. Being in DFW, we've kind of been aware of him because it was, he was obviously with Geek Leets before it's turned into Esposure now. So I've kind of always wanted to have him on the show, but I had no idea like he was doing so much.
Yeah, like really no clue. That's what made the conversation so interesting, was finding out everything that they had going on. And very nice setup he's got there. Very professional looking. Like I was like, oh, you're coming onto our show, huh?
Like
Looks
if I didn't know any better,
yours.
it was like a green screen behind him. It's like, no,
Yeah.
He just casually has his entire like land center in his background while doing the interview. I was like, okay, I get it.
Pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, don't mind
not a flex. Don't worry about it.
Don't mind my Amazon boxes sitting here behind me from like a week's worth of ordering shit. That's okay. No big deal. So check him out. Danny Martin. Esposure is the org, especially if you're in the DFW area when things get back to normal, which, depending on who you talk to, they already are, apparently, according to the governor anyways. But when you feel comfortable and things are back to normal, I think we'll make a trek out there to check it out. So at least we could do, and I'm just so desperate for an event, I'll go anywhere. I really will go anywhere at this point.
I'm probably going to wait a handful of months before.
Well, I'm not saying like right now. No, I'm not.
The governor basically was like, hey, we're doing a little bit of population control. Take your mask off.
Yeah, I'm not.
We're fine.
Don't get me wrong. I am not on the side of the governor. I am on the side of, I'm still going to wear that mask. Still going to wash my hands. If that's
we'll
okay
watch
with
that
you.
death tally over the next few weeks now pretty closely.
Hey, on the bright side, traffic won't be as bad, right?
That's true.
All right, let's get into some e-news. But before that, let me tell you about Philly Esports, the e-news sponsor. They host monthly events, not just in Philadelphia, but now online. March 20th is their next event, Call of Duty Cold War 2v2 gunfight with cash prizes. So get you and your best friend, preferably one that would carry you. Not saying that you're bad, but it always helps to have a hard carry, and you can win some cash prizes. Cool thing about Philly Esports is it's not just like a normal tournament organizer. They don't just throw up a bracket and say, okay, make an account and sign up. They treat it like a professional event. They're going to have casters. It's going to be streamed. They'll do player interviews, right? They have all of when it's live in an event, they have professional photographers there to take photos so you can get that professional vibe, right? So feel like a pro for a day. Philly Esports, check them out. I highly, highly recommend it. And worst case scenario, you win it and then get a pro contract, right? So it's all a win-win at the end of the day. So Philly Esports, check them out. All right, so e-news to get to. CSGO, the CSPPA, did they do a better job on their rankings this week, Anuj?
Yeah, they actually did. I mean, I thought this was probably the first rankings that they came out with that I would say, like, for the most part, looked about right. They had Astralis at number 1, Navi at 2, Vitality at 3. I think those 3 are still deserving of the top spots, regardless of the outcome of Katowice. I've never been a believer of one event should make or break the rankings,
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
But Virtus Pro did jump up to number 4. After their recent performances, I would say, yeah, they've been one of the more consistent teams over the last few months, so that makes sense. Gambit had already been on the rise, so they stayed up there at 5. Big at 6. I'm just going to give you the top 10. Furia, Liquid, Complexity, and Spirit. One thing to note here, Tim. 4 CIS teams in the top 10. That's crazy to me.
That's mind-blowing.
There's more CIS teams than there are EU teams. We can't even bring up NA because
Cloud9, baby, top 20. 19, I see that. 19, top 20. What's up? Evil
I
Genius.
would swap Nip and Cloud9 personally.
That's your
This
bit?
is not even the fandom. I think Nip has actually had better performances than Cloud9 as of
You know
late.
what though? That's not a bad bit. If you want to become the standing snob for 19 and 20, the first 18's good. 19 and 20 though, let's break this down.
Your ratings suck, bro.
Who deserves the 19th spot? It's like after 15, I don't think it matters.
This G2 in FaZe being outside of the top 10.
Well, even Fnatic Evil Genius is 17. Like where they were. Also,
they lost Ethan though, so they're also going to lose a ton of points with that.
True. Can I just do a quick shout out to Triumph being dead last in the rankings at number 40? And the only reason I say this is because I believe it was the general manager of their CSGO team decided to talk shit one time on Twitter about how Triumph was able to do it, and it's not just about the money, it's about the passion, and the passion is what got them here. Congratulations. Passion got you number 40.
And I think they just dropped 2 of their players.
So, hey, you got passion, though. Why don't you just
You did.
spend money? Spend money. That's what you agreed with Decay about. Just spend money.
That's all you need.
I wonder if Decay, now that he's an agent, I wonder if he's realized that it's a lot harder to tell people just to spend money.
Hey, just give my client 20,000 a month
If you
instead
want,
of 15.
give him why not 100,000? Just spend the money if you want to win.
Hey, but he would be a good agent. My agent's fighting for me to get more money than he's what I'm looking for.
It's very true. Very true. In Overwatch, Aspen has reached number 1 for support rankings. I mean, look, she's been there before, but it was with Mercy, so a lot of people didn't give her a whole lot of credit because it's Mercy. Let's be real. But she's back at it, number 1. As far as I know, she's Orgless. I'm surprised. And she's played in, the Contenders League, and she's played in Minor League Overwatch and everything like that. I'm going to say this. I'm a little surprised that an Overwatch League team and maybe they have reached out to her and she said no because the right team hasn't came up. Yeah, as of January, she's no longer on a team, even like a contenders team. I'm surprised not an Overwatch League team has just said, hey, you know, win or lose, Aspen has a huge social media following. She's a girl, first of all, so that's super marketable in esports. You get the attention from the fan base that way.
And a lot of people believe in her, right?
And
Like
she's
it's like
good.
she has like she's like actually good. Like a lot of people believe in what she's doing.
She's
so
outgoing.
You're right. Like I would be really interested to know if this is because she hasn't been reached out to or she hasn't accepted an offer with what's been available to her.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to
Because again,
assume one
she
way or
is
the
good,
other.
right?
But
So like if a bad team is reaching out to her, she might be like, look, I want to go pro, but I also don't want to just be on the worst team. Like I am the #1 support right now in the public rankings. So, and she's only 19, right? So all things considered, you say she's got time, but how much time does Overwatch have, right, to be relevant? So
yeah.
I don't know. She's very marketable around. She's got a big following. She streams. She's, very outgoing and personable in that sense. I'm a little surprised, at least if there's nothing going on the inside of no one reaching out to her to be more of on the Overwatch League level. But
Agreed.
there's that for you. There's the Overwatch League talk for the month of March. Valorant LAN is coming. 10 teams to Iceland.
I'm like really sad about the number of teams. That's the only thing that is eating me up inside because it's like I think 2 from EU, maybe 3, 2 from NA.
So let me ask you, I know we've talked about this moment in Valorant where, oh man, just imagine the first LAN event with the first international LAN event. Would you rather them just hold off until they could like get a real big LAN event?
No, I think this is what they were going to do anyway, is what it seems like. If you're going to do a tournament, like what's the difference between 10 and 14 teams or 10 and 16 teams? Like, not much. I mean, you're already taking all the precautions that you need to take to keep them safe. So I think this is what they had intended to have an even breakdown. But I would have liked to see them do the region split like a little bit better than they did. Either way, I'm super excited. Like, I hope my only hope now is that we really have the best representation for us, and it's not, generally I would love to see that underdog story and somebody make it through that you generally, wouldn't think had that chance. Now it's like, damn, we only got 2 teams representing us, and we got a lot of shit talking on the line here. It's got to be our best 2 teams that we send out there. So, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun either way, but now I'm like nervous of, oh man, what if some like random ass team gets through that really doesn't deserve to be there? That's gonna suck. No. Yeah.
We'll see. Liquid is eliminated from Masters on the EU side, so that's kind of, I think, the first big team to not make a Masters.
Yeah, and you're about to see that happen most likely on the NA side.
It's bound. I mean, there's only 8 teams that qualify, so let me warn the listeners on this one. You're going to see on Twitter a lot of like, oh my God, this team failed to qualify. They're terrible. Fill in the blank, blah, 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 blah. Only 8 teams get to qualify. So it's not like this huge tournament where you should be embarrassed if you don't qualify. Obviously, every team wants to go, and you feel like some teams should be there and some teams shouldn't be there. But it's only 8 teams.
It's not like First Strike where there was like 25 teams in the finals,
Right.
Like it's
now you can talk about the embarrassment of like if you leave at like get eliminated in like the early stages and things like that. Yeah. But I mean, if you make the bracket,
like right now, there's 4 teams left to qualify, and the teams that we're looking at here: T1, FaZe, NRG, 100 Thieves, TSM, Gen.G, Luminosity, and then Hunka something.
Yeah. So I mean.
Know. So there's a lot of teams left that have big fan bases that really want to see their teams get in. So some people are going to be unhappy here at the end of the day, regardless.
Yep. So it's bound to happen. Just, pump the brakes on like the Twitter drama when you see like, oh my God, this team is is bad.
It's a little bit more exclusive this time around.
Yep. Where was I? Oh my god. 1 year ago today, or possibly yesterday, I don't know when the actual tweet was, Project A was dropped and revealed as Valorant with the first trailer and everything.
It's kind of crazy because I remember
1 year ago.
dude, like, remember how hyped we were
Ugh.
when we were like, it's coming out when? Like summer? And then it was like, oh, beta is actually sooner than that? Like, what a release. What a year it's been for them, and to be able to do this in like the COVID world over this past year.
And that's how you do it. You don't do this whole Blizzard method where it's like, hey, by the way, Overwatch 2's coming. When? Don't know.
4 years later.
4 years. Like, maybe. No. They like, boom, this is happening. Boom, next week beta. Boom, in your face, esports tournament. And a year later, we have like a fully established. Now, I will always chuckle because I will never forget when Riot said that they weren't going in with esports in mind. They were just wanting to make a good game. It's like, bro, you had a tournament in beta. Okay. Don't, like, I get it, but don't tell me that that wasn't the case. So I also remember
T1 signed a player before beta even released.
and then
like, people were ready to go.
Look, T1 was able to sign a pro before beta was even out, and that pro has already been dropped and is a free agent. That's how much has happened in a year. That the first player ever signed to be a pro Valorant player is now a free agent for Valorant in Brax. So
it is crazy. I mean, you know what though? Even if they really did truly believe that statement, the teams, the organizations weren't gonna allow that to like not go at the speed that they were ready to go at. So either way, this was happening. I'm glad it did. It's brought a lot of joy over the past year for us as fans of the game, and so look, we're one step closer to what we've been clamoring for, right? We want to see LAN. We want to see the best teams go head to head. We're on the verge of getting that finally. Yep. So can't believe it's just been a year and here we are.
I also remember thinking Valorant was a stupid name.
Kind of works though. I like it.
I like it now. It's grown on me. I liked Project A, and then when they said Valorant, I was like, what the hell is Valorant?
But now looking back, like if it was left as Project A, that sounds kind of dumb.
That would have been, yeah, sounds a little low rent.
Yeah, like it sounds like a free-to-play game.
Yeah. No, so, yeah, no, a year. It's been insane. Good year, though. In other FPS news, Pangu has officially retired from Siege, which is, I mean, that's been in the works. Like, if you follow the Siege scene and even a little bit on the show when we bring it up, he's been going back and forth so often, it feels like. So
we thought he was gone a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, but amazing career, right? Like 5 years at the top of the league for majority of that time. And so, you know, it is sad anytime you have a legend retire. So
he said
wish him all the best and whatever he does next.
I was going to say, because he said he's focusing on streaming and everything. Maybe for a week, but if all of a sudden he gets on that Valorant grind and things like that, I could easily see him making that transition. Like you said, historic career in Siege. So one of the
only 5 years, right? So he's still relatively young too. It's not
it's not crazy.
It's not like he's been playing for 20 years.
No. In other news, Epic Games buys out Mediatonic. Those are the creators behind Fall Guys. So
I just want to know what they got paid. Like they're already making a killing, so they had to get paid.
And they were
a lot.
Weren't they like a super small team?
Yeah, they were like out of their dorm room or something, like house. It was like really, really small group, and I'm sure they've added on significantly since then. But I mean, Fall Guys was just such a massive hit. It is interesting, like that Epic buys them though, because okay, what else do you got? You know, like the Fall Guys trend has died.
I mean, the hype of it, like it's still a fun party game in the sense of like
what it was originally supposed to be is what it is now.
Correct. That's exactly correct. Like, it's not that it's
same thing with Among Us, like the Among Us hype.
Yeah, it's
how long was that gonna last?
Like, it's exactly where it should be at right now, which is not a bad thing. It's still a fun game, but I guess that means it's moving over to the Epic Game Store.
Most likely.
Which means I'll never play it because The only reason I open up my Epic Game Store is to download the free game or to get the free game of the week or whatever. So
I love getting the free game to never install it and play
have-
it, but I get them all. You
I have
know,
so many games on Epic that were just I got for free, and I'm like,
Look, at least it's building a library, so maybe one day I'll go onto the Epic Store and browse through what I have on there because I feel like I got 50 plus games on there now.
yeah, and some like big ones too.
Yeah, like not small titles.
AAA hitters. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so there you go. Epic buying them out. Yeah, I would love to know. I wonder if we can just can we Google this real quick? Is there a price tag somewhere on here? Looking. I mean, I guess now you're gonna get a Fortnite skin for Fall Guys, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
If there hasn't already been one. And I don't see a price tag on here, but you know it's got to be pretty nice.
Real nice.
Pretty nice.
Retirement kind of nice.
Yeah. So good for them. Good for them. Make your bread. You know, don't be prideful. Like make your bread.
Take the money and go, baby.
Yeah.
Take the money and go.
Yeah. And now you got some backer support there. So good for them, and good for us because this was a banger of an episode, Anuj. Episode 310. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening all the way through or skipping around. Love you all the same. Thank you to Alt and Philly Esports for sponsoring the show and e-news. Love them. Check them out. Our Twitter at The Center Ring. Description for our Discord and Patreon are both in the description there. Or links for them in the description, that is. We will be back Sunday because this is Wednesday. So we'll be back Sunday talking some CDL major results and whatever else happens. I think ESL Pro League started, right? Or is it going to start soon?
Possibly, Tim. Possibly.
I'll tell you.
It's one of them is always up. I'm sure Flashpoint's probably not that far away.
All that stuff sneaks up. Yeah, Pro League starts the 8th. Pro League starts this weekend or next week. So maybe we'll talk some ESL Pro League on Sunday. This stuff just sneaks up on you. So esports is never ending. No breaks. But that's it for us. So we will be back Sunday again. Check us out, Twitter at The Center Ring. Join the Discord. Be a part of the conversation. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.